Um, Recently I had a discussion with a young lady who had a very serious breakup with a partner and was going through the terrible withdrawal symptoms that I think we're all familiar with. And I started writing a series of posts about our relationship to other people and how relationships are not at all what they appear to be, as far as I can tell. Um, we have a relationship with another image in our mind, which is also another image. And when that image of someone who fulfills our human longing, our need for companionship, our existential angst, when that temporarily goes away and the company of another who tends to minimize that human condition of longing and loneliness. And when they go, it's crushing. It's debilitating in some cases. But looking at it through a non-dual perspective, we're losing an image in the mind. And we are an image in the mind. I think in the brain, but we'll say mind because Moshi's here. Um, and how do we deal with that? Can we take advice from another person? I think therapy can help. I do. Therapy's helped me a lot over the years. I went to more than one professional therapist who were highly trained, very sympathetic. We laughed and cried together. I think healing can happen naturally and easily, and it seems it can be facilitated by the company of another human being who has been through what we have. When I first had panic attacks, I had no idea what they were. This is, as far as I know, long before they had the name panic attack, many, many years ago. I'd curl up on the floor and make little moany sounds. One of the therapists I went to was a little lady in a wheelchair, and I tried to tell her what I was going through, which is panic attacks, as most of us know, are hard to describe. And so she listened patiently and she said, "Oh, yeah, I have those too. They're called panic attacks." I said, "Really?" Just knowing that another human being had them and was familiar with them helped me a lot. And over a year or so, I fell in love with her. She was so sweet. When she was little in a wheelchair, her mother would get drunk and throw her around the room by her hair because she couldn't find a man that wanted to have a crippled girl. So this lady would take it out on her. And her stories broke my heart and made mine not look so bad. I think therapy can help. I went to AA for years. That's a form of therapy. People who love you and are familiar with your story and can relate. I think on a deeper level, those of us who ensconced or find ourselves in the non-dual world deal with it fundamentally differently than normal people do. I think we go deeper, deeper into the pain, deeper into the loneliness, deeper into the longing. I see longing as a human condition. Life is longing. It never goes away. That's what drives us. That's what wakes us up in the morning and gets us out of bed. We're longing. That's the way I see it. I'm sure everybody sees it differently. Who has had their heart broken here? Oh, the idea that that other person is not real is shocking to people unlike us. That's never
Doesn't
even,
help though. Doesn't help.
no,
No.
no. The pain is still there. That's the human condition. I think that's what breaks our heart and opens our heart, not only to the human condition, but to ourselves. Claire,
Actually, Vern was first. If you want to go, Vern.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I jumped the gun. Oh, I jumped the gun a bit in terms of putting my hand up. But Michael, when you was talking initially about that, you gave the sense you was referring to the kind of relationships, the love of your life, kind of. Was that kind of what you meant? Usually referring to people, yeah.
when
Or
we, yeah, when we are the idea of soulmate, we lose ourselves in the in this idea we finally found what we're looking for. And when we, after time, we, it's not quite what we wanted. Or it's not quite right.
hmm,
And then when that soulmate leaves, we're devastated.
my the reason I might shot my hand up is because I also believe that there's many things, not just the soulmate leaving, there's many things that can break your heart or give you that kind of sense of grief or loss. Or if you think some of the things, there's other things that we go through as humans, um, it's a rough ride sometimes, but that is it, and I mean, when we are sitting in this open space and kind of acting from here, it seems to just make that pain a little bit easier somehow, here anyway. What's done is done. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire?
Yeah, I was just going to say about the idea of relationships as therapy, um, and the idea that people have, which is that you can find some sort of completion through a relationship, which almost makes another person some sort of object of an external source of your liberation almost, like a drug. A lot of
Mm,
people talk about addiction. I feel like I'm addicted to that person. You can't get enough of them. You're sort of thinking a lot about them, or that you can't live without them.
mm,
Um, and some people have that with, meditation. Some people get addicted to therapy. I can't live without therapy because I don't know who I am without the idea that I'm not complete. Um,
mm,
so yeah, I think many people seek something in relationships. I would say the majority of people seek something in relationships. They talk about unconditional love and how there's this total openness and you do whatever you want. I love you unconditionally. And then that person leaves their coffee cup on the side for the umpteenth time. And then suddenly it's not so unconditionally loving and the anger comes out and the frustration. Um, but I think to love someone is to just give them their freedom. If you truly love someone, they can do pretty, they're free. And if they want to leave, then that's their choice to leave. But there can be that very human human longing, which I think all of us feel. But then there's also the sort of I feel incomplete, and that can become a sort of seeking, which is ironically repulses even more because the other person feels like they're being sort of needed somehow. There's something that's being sought, and that's difficult. I think that leads to a lot of miscommunication in relationships when everyone just really wants to be loved and understood. So I think there's the sort of the different ways perhaps of seeing relationships, very natural things that tend to happen. You weave in and out of each other's lives, and then there's the sort of seeking something. Um, so yeah, just that was all I think I wanted to reflect. And yeah, I keep getting my heart broken. But I feel like it's quite beautiful in a way because when you have that heart break, it's actually your heart opening because you sort of have all the battle scars on your heart. You get to grow as a person. So um, yeah, I think that's the price you pay for love really is the heartbreak. And I would happily do it again and again. I would. So those are my two reflections for what they were.
Mm. What I'm speaking to is the idea that it's not the person we miss. It's not the company, really. It's the temporary lack of longing that we are addicted to. It's not the pet that dies. It's the joy the pet brought us that's missing, that we temporarily lose our focus on the aloneness and the longing. It's not, I believe we are a self-contained loop of self-referential memories in which there are no other people or things. They are images, just images in the brain, images in the mind that don't actually exist. So it's not the person we're missing. There's no person there. There's no person here. But there is a longing. And for humans, that's an objectified longing. We long for love, happiness, joy, things that don't exist. So the temporary reprieve from the longing is what the other person brings. And when they're gone, it rushes back in. The loneliness, the longing, the ache. When a pet dies, same thing. The ache, the loneliness rushes back in. I think we're talking about a totally different level than what normal therapy reaches. And I don't think you can help people by telling them that. I think the mind will heal by itself just like the body does, in most cases.
Just seen Barry's message saying I can't put my hand up.
I couldn't put mine down.
Oh, so yeah, we've kind of moved on a little bit, but where you said about that one person, Michael, or somebody who can help. Back in the day, as a kid, I lost my leg and I was going through chemotherapy, and I was in a terrible state psychologically, and I didn't even know it. I was just in it. It was me. There was something going wrong with me, and all that kind of stuff. I was very suicidal. I was a teenager.
Hmm.
And yeah, the hospital recognized it. Somebody recognized it. And they they had me go and see a psychiatrist. And I didn't even know, back then it was just an appointment, another appointment, and the guy's asking me questions and I'm answering the questions. And after a bit, I said, "What are you, a psychiatrist?" 'Cause I had heard of that thing. But of course, I was a kid. I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know anything. And he said he kind of described what was going on. And like you said, it's like just getting that someone else knows what it is you're going through. And then, amazingly, really, at that age and as a kid, that was enough for me. It's enough for me to hear that it was okay. I'll get over it. The chemotherapy caused this stuff as well, so a lot of chemicals and in my brain, and just describing all the symptoms which I had. And I walked out of there and I never went back again. And I never had depression again either in my whole life. You know,
Mm.
it was like a unbelievably cathartic just to know that someone understood. That was enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Barry. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. David?
Oh yeah. Hi. Um, Something somebody said reminded me of a conversation I was having with my son recently, and it revolves around that which we all mention anyway, that everything that you think is outside yourself is transmitted to what we please to call the inside by our senses. So we feel, we see, we smell, um, uh, whatever we and it's it translates, if you like to put it crudely, as pictures inside yourself. We have no way of directly connecting with what we call the outside, and we never will have. Everything is an inside job. The people that we talk to, the people that we encounter, um, without exception, are, if you like, they may as well be figments of our imagination because they're pictures inside us. And so the only real person ever is yourself. Everything else is pictures. Um, and if you carry that through, this was what we were talking about. And I like the idea that nobody apart from yourself has ever been born. Your birth was the first and only time it's ever happened anywhere. And your death will be the same. Nobody apart from yourself is ever going to die. Death will be something experienced for the first time in the whole universe by yourself. And I just, we batted this idea around quite a lot. I don't know if it sort of carries water altogether, but it appealed to me. I thought that it had a certain amount of sense and interest to it, and it's not the sort of thing that you can run past the bloke next door because there's no point because they'll go, "What the fuck are you on about? What's going on here?" Um, but details aside, I know that you lot are going to be quite happy to play with ideas like that. That's it. Just ideas out of the blue.
Dennis, I think you might, well, you looks like you're on mute.
Raja, did you have your hand up first? I didn't see you.
Sorry, Phyllis had her hand up. I can wait.
Uh,
It's okay, Raja. Yeah, I'll pass my
No, no,
turn.
it's fine. Seniority.
It's, it's like we're just spinning the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
Who gets the next shot? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Since Phyllis, I was like hoping that she would talk, but I mean, I can. I heard Barry talking, and I think he's. Yeah, I've been talking to Barry for a long while. Yeah, some things make us cry. It's like you never ever get through the loss, especially when it's the loss of your body, like part. You know, I mean, to lose your leg, you never get over that because there you're looking around you and you see people are so normal and so. Yeah, but gradually, I think, I don't know if people say you're not the body, doesn't make sense to me, because I mean, we so identified with the body still. So I say you're not the body. At what stage? I mean, there are some people are supposed to say it. I don't know, but I feel for you, Barry, and I hope that at some stage, yeah, like when you was crying, I could feel the tears too. And we all go through that. Like for me, it was never the loss of a person or stuff like that. To me, what I would feel like really hurtful is when you build up this thing in your head about someone, like they're so perfect. And yeah, and then, and gradually you're looking at them naked, and then you see, it's just another person. And for me, that's been my problem, is like to look at people and think that they're so perfect. And and yet, when I was like in 16 or something, I was looking up at the sky and thinking, there's only this God in the sky that's actually going to love me as much as I love it, like. And somehow, yeah, that was my thing. So for me, it was never like being in love with someone. It's like you're looking at someone and then suddenly they just not. I don't know, something about them like says, "Oh God, I mean, I thought you were like Jesus or something." And that's been my story. And I put people up on this pedestal, huh? And think that they're so awesome. But at the same time, I never stopped doing it. Like I think, like, oh gosh, like I'd be hard, like even with my husband too. I really worshipped him, like he was in those who know Hindu literature, he was Ram and I was Sita. I actually believe that. Like to his Ram, I was Sita. And then one day Ram was not Ram anymore. He was human. And and obviously I felt so hurt about it and I even told him that, I remember. And then I felt bad about it because I mean he had no choice. Before he could die, I told him that we don't really have a choice. So yeah, we are this humanness and we are this brokenness, this imperfection. It's okay. I mean, if you don't have a hand, it's fine. You can live with that. You can make something or the other. But when we have a broken heart, it's like harder, because you're looking at. I don't know. I mean, that's judgment too. It's hard. I'm sorry, Barry, because I don't know what it's like to lose a limb. But yeah, so yeah, this was like for me that was it. And I think I'm trying to like the most important thing is to hold this mirror up and to look at yourself and to see exactly like be honest with yourself. What hurt you the most about the whole thing? And to deal with it. And then to go back and love that person because that person has done so much, for you and helped you through the worst parts of your life. And how come we can just turn away from it? and say they're not good enough, you know? Because they put themselves on the line to help us, you know? And that's so awesome. Like that is something I always come back to, and I say, if I could change anything, I would not lose that. I would want them in my life, even if it meant losing them, you know? But having had them in my life, thanks.
Thank you, Raj.
I love you guys. Yeah, I love all of you.
I
Yeah.
love you too.
Phyllis,
Awesome. There's so much to react to. I forget the beginning part, what I was going to react to. But David, I don't know you personally, but it seems that it felt like, in other words, you were saying exactly what Michael says. It's all, it's all imagination. It's they're figments, they're memories, and Michael talks about memories, and I read and the memory, but the character, the person in the body feels that loss. It's real. That that feeling for the person. And all the therapy I had, years of therapy, in and out of depression. After I had my second child, it just that was it. the 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 parade was over. And that therapy and medication and support groups just got me through that thing. First, I don't know what, I guess postpartum depression, then moving to a foreign country, then not having a job, which I'd had all my life since I was 16. But it's story after story, and that brought on this depression. And I had a very wonderful friend in Lydia. It's a beautiful name. And she was almost transparent, how clear she was. And she said, Phyllis, don't worry about the depressions are terrible, but each one, when you come out of each one, you feel much better. You're at, something is gone, and you'll feel much better. And that kind of encouragement is so important for the person. But at the same time, happily, didn't know anything about non-duality maybe, and I was going through all this because I see it as kind of like two things. There's a person going through all this with all their stories and all their terrible losses, and the divorces, and I had cancer. I lost a breast. I lost a husband. But when I wake up in the morning now, if I can't remember, I still think my mom is upstairs. It just memories just flash in, and the name doesn't. And I just say, "Where's my sister?" It's just like I'm back. I'm like I'm time traveling. But yeah, that loss. I mean, when that the experience of loss, when I lost my first loss, perhaps, was that I lost my canary. It was just the only thing. My dad was very sick, and he died at the age of 41, and I was 11. So I guess that, I don't know, maybe it was a preview to the loss. You don't know what's happening in the movie until it's happened. And then it is still part of that movie, but it's kind of, the person suffers terribly. But I feel if for this persona, the body feels, if I think about pain, what came to me and loss is, for my canary is at the same level as my breast. It's the same thing, but at something else, the terrible loss of something that makes you complete, a body part, and it was a gift. Now I say cancer was a gift. I learned that a body part is not doesn't matter, you know. I it was a but this is just my story. And I cried like Barry, and I cried and cried. And I was angry at my father. The whole thing that helped me in therapy, you know, the ones that die, they're the good guys, right? Huh? We can't say anything bad about them. But then when I was able to be so angry at my father and, you know, hit a pillow and said, how dare you leave mother at age 30? She was 33 years old. She was a widow with two kids. How could you do that? Huh? Daddy, how could you abandon us? And it just, and now I think more about the canary than that. But the same thing was the losing, and finally just, I know, the therapy, and then kind of fell away into non-duality, and then there was a years of bliss, and it was a long story. You know, like my thought, I'm 78, so the stories, but the same time we're figments and we're the bodies. And and the body heals, and therapy has helped me. Medication has helped me. As I said, so, and the pain, maybe it dulls. I don't know if it ever goes away. You say that longing that something is missing, but I don't feel it that much anymore. But yeah, it's yeah. When we're not, I'm not talking with you people. I miss you. I guess but it's yeah, getting over the breast cancer, you know, and the fear of death. You know, now I'm fearless. You know, huh? It just feels like Barry knows that too. The angel of death was sitting on my bedside, and she winked, huh? And she said, "Not this time." So every day after that was a gift, a gift, a gift, a gift. And loss is part of the gift when you open the wrappings and the ribbons and you see what's inside. Maybe you don't like it that much. You'd rather have the sequins and the shiny part. So yeah, it's a terrible loss, the body part, but it's a real radical uh, for, for for the lucky ones who survive. Perhaps it's a real kind of diving board into lots of questions that one wants to find answers to, and spirituality, and that all those paths, you know. So, well, I'll stop there because I could go on forever.
Oh, thanks, Phyllis. Claire, you had your hand up.
Phyllis, you're very welcome to go on forever. I love how you weave so many things into what you share. I do the same as people talk. I sort of gather. I'm sort of like a spider. I gather these ideas and I sort of want to weave it all together. But I was just sort of reflecting on actually why we're here and why we do these meetings and why we connect. And it's something a lot of you have said, and I just think everyone is just there's so much beauty here. I mean, I know Dave, you talked about how we're the only one who's born and we're the only one who dies, and we're all there is. But I don't think. I mean, it's all conceptual, but the way I see it is that there's something that never dies. There's something that's always here. So maybe it's a kind of we connect with our immortality when we come together, and I see all of you, and I don't know some of you, but there's still this sort of feeling of connection that I have, and that just goes beyond words. But I feel it. It's a feeling, and I know that you. I know that some of you can feel that as well. It's and that's always been what this is to me. This is what I've always been seeking this idea of this can I've always just loved people, and I think another thing I've done a lot is sort of dove in there and lost myself in the suffering because I've wanted to know people. You know, you need to dive in there, experience their story, feel that heartbreak, feel that loss. You want to listen to somebody and experience what they've experienced, because when you do that, there's a sort of sense of being in there with them, and there's a sense of, okay, well, we'll find the exit together, we'll find our way out together. Because there's just been that interest in that and that sort of connection. But um, that goes on. We can lose ourselves in sort of stories, in ideas of who we are, and the kind of apparent walls can come up. It can seem like there's Michael in California and there's Claire in England, and we're sort of so far away from each other that can seem like a reality. But this is why we come together. And if I went to the local pub, I expect we'd talk about the football and the weather probably. But there's something about this sort of conversation that you sort of have that felt sense a bit more in, that felt sense of the connectedness. It's hard to put into words because you can't really. But I think it's a sort of taste of our immortality, Dave. I think after it doesn't end with us. It's not going to end with me. It's going to. My nieces are 1, 3, and 8. They're going to outlive me. So it doesn't end with me. I know for a fact that they'll still be here. So when we come together, we sort of get the sense of that we do continue, we do go on, and we just keep sharing a bit of what we've got here. A piece of the puzzle, something that feels like it might connect, and that's to me. I don't know what that is, but I quite enjoy it. And that's why I come to these meetings. It's beautiful, and I get so much joy out of that, and that's life really. And I waffle a lot as well, and I've stopped caring. I think there's sort of you have this idea that you're taught in school you've got to have a polished thing to say. It's got to sort of have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Much like life maybe. And it can be messy. It can be a bit chaotic. It can meander and weave, and it can just end abruptly. And that's also life. So I've just stopped minding too much. And if people, there's that fear of judgments, but actually it's not really, it doesn't really pierce so much here. I'm aware that people may have judgments. I'm aware that that's a human thing. People have these judgments, but that's what I was saying. That's the kind of apparent separation. That's the sort of looking at someone sitting over there and someone sitting over there, someone's gender, someone's age, someone's career, whatever it happens to be. I can sort of, that doesn't really matter to me as much as anything else. So I think that's quite nice. It's quite liberating not to live through those judgments and not to sort of be constantly thinking, or what are they thinking? Obviously you can do it on a practical level. So, it's a certain time I better stop talking. So you can sort of do it on a practical level, but it's sort of less of that fear-driven space. So yeah, I think that's all I'll share. But it's lovely to see all of you. I love you.
I love you. Thank you, Claire. There is a perspective where we don't see bodies. Castaneda talked about Don Juan in his books about Don Juan. Would see people as luminous eggs, shimmering waterfalls of light. I think that's an analogy, but I don't see bodies anymore. I see, well, I do see bodies, but they're just bodies to me. They're highly evolved, beautiful mechanisms. But the thing inside, whatever that is, the sense of personal identity is what I relate to more now. The beauty of human beings, the heroism. Everyone gets beat up. Life is impersonal. It is not impersonal. It doesn't even know we're here, primarily because we aren't. But there's something. And maybe, like our opening, maybe it's just our loneliness that draws us into. We're tribal by nature. Primates are tribal creatures. our tribe is too big to relate to intimately now. But there's a non-dual tribe. There's a Baptist tribe. There's all kinds of tribes. I don't care anymore what it is. I don't care what the attraction is, but it is. I love being here. I've known some of you for years and years. I've known Moshe for a long time. I know a lot about his story. The more we know about someone, the more we love them. Rajat, oh, did you still have your hand up?
All right, I just have a short thing to say. Anyway, yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit confusing, seeing the body being the body, not being there. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, eventually you realize you're not the body. I mean, there is that feeling of that. This is a feeling thing. And it's the intensity of this that we can sit together and feel what the other has probably been through from the stories. And the reason we do that is because this innocence that we are. It's so awesome and wisdom that brings that from that pain we have learned something, come out of it a bit more different, a bit more giving, forgiving. It's unreal, but I mean, there is a tolerance because, like, I didn't know loss. My mom died, my father died, and it was, oh yeah, that's part of life. People die. Till my husband died, and then it was like a different kind. I could feel that intensity of loss because this person was now I shared my bed with this person, you know? So you woke up together, you spend the whole day practically together. And yeah, so there was that intense loss that I felt. And now when I heard how others were sharing their stories, I could relate now. Because to me, I didn't know when this lady was telling me her husband died, my husband was sitting next to me. So it was, oh gosh, I mean, that's okay. You know, I couldn't relate to what it sounds like. But now I can. If someone says, oh, they lost their husband, I know what it is like. I can now reach out to that person and say, oh gosh, I've been through that, you know? And that's what makes us so human, is that we can have these shared experiences, these shared stories that somehow seem loaded. And gradually, in that sharing, the emotional content of the story kind of like loses its effect. You know, the pain that was there, like that we felt initially, like each time I told Michael about it, I remember I felt less and less of it. It was like now I can talk without crying, you know, about my husband. But initially, when I spoke about it, I was crying, you know. So gradually, in that sharing, there's so much of love that you receive. And I'm so grateful for that because look at like today how I can just sit here and feel so much of love and be so grateful that I could share these things and it feels so much lighter once you have done that. Like after yesterday's experience, those were yeah. I was like so like oh gosh, this is my story now. How am I going to deal with this? And now I just feel, oh gosh, I can handle this. I've been through more than this, you know? And it's so awesome because you have a whole group of people who love you in spite of what you are and because of what you are and everything. And that's the awesomeness of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Raja. David?
Yeah. Yeah, hi. Um, I think it was something that Claire said actually, um, about enjoying being with everybody, and it occurs to me that there's nothing that any of us say that matters in the slightest. It's all chaff in the wind. And what's nice is just being here and hanging out with each other in whatever way we do and saying whatever we do. Um, and we put such importance on the things that we say, and we'll come up with some concept that we wrap a lot of words around, and we'll get very intense about it, and we'll say it's like this and it's like that, and this turns into that and that turns into this, and it really doesn't matter the stuff. It can all just get blown away in the wind, because we're all here because we're enjoying each other's company. It's as simple as that. um, and um, we can wrap it up in words and say it's because we're into this non-dualism thing, etc. You can label it how you like, but we know what the feeling is and we know what we're doing here, and basically we're just hanging out with each other. We're not really doing very much at all. Passing thought, that was all.
Beautiful, beautiful, Bern. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, it's going to just Dave's kind of talked me into sharing one of the most magical experiences of my 51 years of existence. And she's going to be mortified when she realizes what I'm talking about. But it was yesterday when I met Claire and Sylvan face to face, and we spent a day together. Plus Donna Holmes as well, from the kind of non-duality chat. And Dave, I'm just sitting here listening, agreeing to everything that how wonderful, and the back end of what you said, Michael, just how wonderful it is that, you know, there are these kind of virtual communities, which are amazing, which allow us to do this. But there's just nothing like a hug for me, anyway. And yesterday it was so far out my comfort zone, believe it or not. Even just not even just going, but what I did, where I went, and I didn't feel awkward once. And I've always, when I go out, and I don't, and I think I don't want to be there, I feel awkward, which means I don't want to be there. So I experienced on the very wet drive to Claire, I experienced all of that kind of, and I was driving, watching it all happening in me, wondering, just wondering why it insisted to still do that, because it wasn't any thoughts, it was just sensations this time. It was just the tummy, it was just the butterflies, the nervousness, you know, and it was just aliveness. And you know, and there wasn't any resistance, there wasn't any grit, keep going, keep going. It was just, I know this is the right direction. Effectively, it's kind of what I thought, that for this sensation to happen without it sticking this time, I know I'm going to have a good day. And we had certainly from my perspective, we had a just beautiful day. And I just wanted to thank you, Claire, and Sylvan for hosting us, and Michael for introducing us.
Clara.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I mean, this is the beauty of these groups and connections. I've met Razia through you, Michael, as well, I think. And some of the names I recognize here. Mark or Mosh, I really like your sense of humor. I've really appreciated some of your comments. You sort of come across people in the groups, and you read the little comments, and there's something in you kind of resonates. And there are, as Dave said, it's not about being clever. You know, I think God, when I first came into these groups, all these texts about what's in the Vaita Vedanta and the Bhagavad Gita and all of this stuff, and as if everyone's sort of trying to kind of prove something, or I understand it more than you do. And I was really confused because and then when you sort of say, oh, how are you? Well, there's no one here. And that doesn't make sense to me. What Dave said is spot on. It's about, it's not what we say, it's where it's coming from. It's sort of it's just so natural. And I think so many people, there's this sort of, boundaries seem to be such a big thing with people. This idea that there needs to be some kind of protection from other people. And Michael, you wrote about it, and I sent a very long essay-like comment in response because it brought a lot up for me, actually. That idea that there's some sort of threat from others, like if you let people if you open yourself up, like we're all doing here, we're all speaking from the heart, we're not sort of polishing our words. Well, I'm not, and as you can probably tell, it's you can sort of there's that sort of openness, there's that rawness. For some people that feels like, oh, that's too much, that's too much. I don't want that connection, I don't want that intimacy with you. I'd rather shut down to that. And I actually got some bad feedback from an essay I did when I did a psychotherapy training. It was 5 years, and we had to run a workshop at the end of it. And my participants were quite happy being named. They were sort of said, oh, it was a really powerful weekend for them, and they were quite happy to, to sort of be in that weekend. So I used their names in my write-up because I thought, well, they want to be known, they want to be seen. And I got a comment saying it was unethical to sort of name the people that had been in this workshop, because there's this sort of sense of, well, privacy is so important. If someone's sharing a personal process, or someone's being really open and really raw, there's almost the idea that, well, they don't want, that's a private thing. But I don't know why there needs to be that fear of privacy or boundaries in that way. I don't know what people think is going to happen, because you see sort of children have got very good natural boundaries. Animals have got good natural boundaries. You go up to my cat and she will hiss if she doesn't like something. There doesn't need to be the thinking mind that's constantly coming in, with sort of long lists of things to say in response. I have a lot of clients who say, I put a boundary in place with them. And to me, it just sounds kind of harsh. You say, oh, what did you do? Well, I told them their behavior was toxic and I cut them off and all of this stuff. And it's, that's, I think boundaries are much more natural and spontaneous than that. It's nothing sort of intellectual. It's a sort of, oh, sort of, it can be quite, quite spontaneous. And in a way, it's not as aggressive in that way. It can still be sort of quite, it can be firm, but it doesn't create war, which I think is what your post was about, Michael, that idea that when you sort of have these ideas about you and the other person, it can be very divisive. But if you're totally open, and you see children in the playground, before they get conditioned, obviously, when they're very young, there's still this sense of openness in them. There's this connection with something deeper in them. And they're quite comfortable. They, say what it is. They're quite natural, quite spontaneous. I think as humans, we have the ability to protect and to defend ourselves. So there's nothing to fear in being open and to being intimate. But I think that's maybe the issue with what's happening in the world, quite frankly. It's this sort of, there's a fear of attack. There's a fear of threat. When people don't seem to trust themselves to protect themselves, they need, mum and dad to do it still, or they need, the government to do it still. There's sort of that sense of, actually, we've got this, we've got ourselves, we can do this, we can operate from, as Dave says, this space of just total openness, where it feels like it's not what we say, but it's how we're saying it, or the fact that we're saying it at all. So yeah, I think it's about trust, really, for me, just trusting ourselves, trusting each other. I trust everyone here. There's no sort of sense of separation or closeness, or I don't like Razi because I don't like that top, or she's competing with me because we've both got black tops on, or whatever it happens to be. There's not any kind of there's nothing really like that. So again, a bit more waffle, but for what it's worth, I'll shut up now. And it was lovely, Vern, yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Byrne?
Thank you. I put my hand up in the kind of felt compelled to share that Um, I think there's a couple of things going on in terms of non-duality and the whole process or transition or whatever energy movement we may call it. And the two things are there's an intellectual understanding of what it is, what it means, and therefore what's the intellectual impact of that? What falls away because it is true, whatever it is. So I think that's the bit that most people get about it. I think that and some people even have that validated experientially, which we call glimpses, and then are convinced they're enlightened. In some circumstances, just saying some of the things I see based on kind of what was just being said around why people react, and in the non-dual space about some stuff. And I do believe ultimately, when one is truly in whatever that is, there simply isn't that kind of sparky energy inside to even like it's like the trigger's broke. So you're aware of the thing you used to be aware of that used to upset you, but the upset bit doesn't occur. The emotion bit doesn't kick in. And because the emotion bit doesn't kick in, there's no conditioned reaction. And so it's perceived by other people to be, oh, they get it and they don't, or they're emotional and they're not, or they don't understand, or they have a different view. And that's all true because there's 8.3 billion people with different views, and that's all right. But certainly from those that and most of you here will know exactly what I mean when I say you can feel it in others. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, which you can't even be bothered to argue about anything when you're connected to that because it's just a joke. Anything the mind does now is just compared to what this is now, this isness for some. Everything else is just irrelevant. There's like no, and it's irrelevant. It's empty. It's emotionless. It's the most exhilarating. It's full. It's it's being written real time in how I'm experiencing it, and in that there cannot be a reaction because there's no mind to react, and that's how I experience it. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Kramer, I've enjoyed your writings for months and months now. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Well, I really want to thank you for the invitation primarily, and it's really very lovely to be here and be with you. And I already enjoyed it to watch on YouTube your meeting, and yeah, this emotion that flows freely is really overtaking. It's just receiving it, and it's beautiful. So I want to thank you for that.
Ah, thank you. Moshi.
Yeah, I almost forgot what I was going to say. But was it Vern was talking about how if you're not reactive, then it kind of shows that you kind of get this more, you know. Um, I think when you're way out here, when you first have an awakening, there's nothing can bother you, and you can't see how anything could even touch you. But after time, you know, you it's I don't want to say you come back, but you allow an allowing of the humanness.
Mm.
In that humanness, I mean, we get upset, we could get angry, we could get, and there's the underlining of this always there. but there's also the allowing of
Mm.
unfold how it unfolds. And even when you, I mean, we're talking about loss. Like when I lost my dog, I was so close to my dog, but it was so painful. And I thought, you know, after a decade, there's no way I could feel pain like that again. And it was there, and there was an allowing. It was a process that seemed that had to happen, and there was no negating that at all. And a lot of things came up in that is a lot of anger too. You know, I didn't even know, why is this anger coming? Why is this anger coming? But you know, and to each his own lesson. But to me, it brought me back to when my dad passed away when I was 12 years old, and it showed me that I still had that anger. I still had that anger from then. Um, yeah, so it was therapeutic in a way, you know. So, but as far as like seeing it in someone else, I stopped believing that. I don't think you can, you know. Um, you're alone anyways. You know what I mean. Um, and I believe that longing that you talk about, Michael, is the longing to share when there's a
Mm.
knowing that there's no one to share with.
Mm.
That love, you know, it's a person. It's personal in that way. It's You can't share that,
Mm.
and you'll never be able to. I mean, we do it. We share. We sit. I think, but by these meetings is we let down that guard, and that's the feels like the openness, which feels like sharing. You know, but ultimately, you're always alone.
It's
I don't know if that made any sense or if it bummed people out, but
it's like shooting arrows into my heart. It's just punk. Just oh God. It's what I know. But when you hear it from another, it feels like a plug in the it's beautiful and it's terrible. Um, I love you, Moshi.
love you too, Michael.
Claire, you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, Moshi, sorry, I pronounced your name wrong earlier. You really, I just wanted to say how much I can relate to that. It's almost like the plug on something gets pulled, or somehow everything is suddenly visible, and then it's the kind of, oh crap, and I've got all of that stuff that is now sort of coming in, all the anger, all the pain, all the sadness, all the grief, all the loss, and it's like a tsunami sometimes. It's sort of just again and again and again and again and again. I related a lot to what Phyllis was saying. You know, it's just sort of the depression, and then it goes, and then the depression, and it goes, and it's sort of like you're just maybe it's sort of swallowing something or clearing something up, maybe integrating something. Um, and I think for a long time I thought there was something wrong. You know, there was something wrong with that pain. You know, if you've had this sort of call it awakening, whatever, that it should be bliss, and
Mm-hmm.
then and it doesn't feel like bliss, and people say, well, all is perfection, all is just this, and as if, you know, you should be delighted with what you're experiencing. And you know, it wasn't that's not the feeling. You know, the word bliss isn't necessarily what I would say to what the state of the world is, which is actually what you have to face. You have to face, you know, all of the emotion that goes with it. You know, I'm not the one kind of causing a lot of the conflict necessarily, but I'm still witnessing it, I'm still a part of it, so I still have to feel it. um and it's sort of, yeah, maybe the trauma as well, all the things that, you know, sort of stuffed to the recesses of the mind. There's nowhere for them to hide. You know, it's almost like this big when this big light comes in and it illuminates. There's nowhere for those cobwebs to hide anymore. They're going to come out, you know, one by one. They're going to come out and face the light. And I think, you know, to see that as a process that is there's nothing wrong with that. I think I just I wanted to say that I can relate to you, and I love that I don't love that you're going through it, because I wouldn't wish it on anybody, that pain, because I feel it. But I love that you're sharing it, and I love that you're here, and I love that we're doing it together. So
Mm.
that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, just to let you guys know, my dog passed away 2.5 years ago, and I
Yeah.
still think about it.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Raja, you have your hand up.
I saw Mushi's dog, and it was an awesome dog. I saw it getting old. That's how long I know you. I saw you with your dog, and I saw how much love you had for that dog, which is so awesome. That's my favorite word, awesome. But yeah, all I want to say is there's no particular way to be. There's no straitjacket that anyone is going to fit into. And there's no uh, uh, like Vern says, like some people will tell you, oh, you're using the wrong word, you know. And that really gets to me sometimes. Like sometimes you use the wrong word. And they will all come to correct it, and they'll rewrite your whole poem for you so it makes sense to them, which is so awesome. I mean, they have to do that. It's something they have to do. They have to correct your poem so they feel okay, like, you know. And and in that is the joy of it. But I mean, there's no particular way to be. There's no particular way. There's no, I am emptiness, so I'm fullness, so I am this, so I am that. It's just being, and just being this life. And in our otherness, we are rejoicing in that, because I mean, what's wrong with that? That there are these others that we seemingly talk to, and we have built up. We're never going to know them fully, like Michael says. My husband died, and I don't know my husband. Even if he was living still, I wouldn't know him, because technically he was a program running in his own head too. I couldn't get into that program and see what it was all about, really. So we don't know others. And even if we talk here and we share this too, there's no knowing another person. But in the end of it all, it's like Musha said, it's the sharing that's so awesome. And whatever we appear as, or whatever it is, like we appear in as, is okay. I don't have to be a particular way for you to like me. You know, I mean, if that's the thing, like, yeah, that's the sad part. That some people want you to say a word a particular way. You have to talk a particular way, and you have to be a particular way for them to like you. And then you wonder about that as well. Like, what kind of a community are we in that places more on what kind of how we speak rather than the impact that the words are having on you, you know? And yeah, that's it. That disappoints me sometimes, but then I always come back to there, no choice, you know? And that somehow is, yeah, it's the judgment falls away. Thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you, Raja. For months after that night in Las Vegas, maybe 18 years ago now, I felt sublimely empty, very comfortable. Things didn't bother me. I think Ramana lived there, and I don't think it's a place to live, really. I think humanness is the best, far better than what Ramana went through, what Ramana lived, or apparently. I love humanness. I love that I'm a man. I love the feelings of a man. I love all the emotions that come up uninvited. They just bubble up, come and go, whatever emotions are. I think it's just chemical reactions in the brain given a name. I love everything about humanness. I experience lust. I don't know if I experience anger anymore. I haven't seen an angry person in a long time. I see schizophrenics and my heart breaks for them. Tormented and fragmented minds, lost in a cave. Everything about being human is so wonderful. Without lust, none of us would be here. Takes a lot of energy to raise a child, 20 years, a lot of money, 350,000 minimum now a year per child. And by the time you get them through college, not 350,000 a year, but 350,000 overall to raise a child. Um, lust. Lust brought us here. People are afraid of their lust. They say 80% of people watch pornography and feel guilty about it. Humanness. Walt Whitman said he loved the smell of his own armpits. How brave he was. He was gay when it was not accepted like it is now. Some of his poetry is beautiful. One time he boasts about his partner thrust his tongue into his heart. I think that's so beautiful. I think we've all felt that. If we could see how beautiful we are for a second, we'd fall to the ground weeping. We can't see our own beauty, but others can. I'm looking at Barry now. He looks like a Rembrandt painting. Oh, I no longer take my reactions personally. Um, I love the way women walk. I love the way they talk. I love everything about them. I'll see a beautiful woman and think, oh, she's so beautiful. I'll see a beautiful man and say, oh, he's so beautiful. I see a family walking sometimes and I'll say, you're a beautiful family. And they always respond. Children will respond more. They look at me like it's fun. Doesn't last that long.
I'm going to ask Dave if he's making biscuits. I saw you open the oven.
Yeah, I've got a vegetable bake in the oven which is slowly sort of cooking, and I thought I'd better check up on it. And it's probably slightly too done, but I've turned the oven off and it will stay warm now for a while. And if I'm still hungry later on, it'll be edible. If not, it will do for supper tomorrow. And whilst I was up there doing it, I decided I needed a wee, so I shuttled off to the loo as well. So it was a productive walk.
Do like how you share your bathroom habits in the non-duality groups, Dave. It really brings things down to earth in a beautiful way.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
No, I meant it as a compliment quite genuinely. It just sort of it's all right, this sort of long non-duality speak and say, oh, I'm off for a poo. It's just this beauty actually, yeah. Anyway.
it's
British thing, maybe.
well, it's just us, isn't it? Really, I mean, here we all are. It sort of gets more like a family every time, doesn't it?
Mm,
Oversharing.
burn.
I'm sorry, I don't know you, Mark, or Moshi, or I apologize for however that's pronounced. But I did want to just share with you, mate, that I really felt your words and I haven't been able to stop feeling them. Um, yeah, that was all, mate. That was all. Cheers.
When we do feel each other's pain, um, I think it's so tribal. If the fire starter was wounded, our life was in jeopardy. If the bowl maker disappears, we're in jeopardy. We feel each other's pain. I think like all things, that's highly evolved, impersonal, but we still feel their pain. The young lady I was talking about who was shattered by a broken up partnership, I felt her pain for days. Um, that's what I've been writing about. I'm uncomfortable with her pain. I want it to go away. It's selfish. It's all me. And that's okay too. We're a closed loop. Fern, no.
Got to say goodbye to
Oh,
Barry and Phyllis because they're saying goodbye. They've got to go. So just wanted to say that quickly.
oh, Moshi has his hand up, I think.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, because we feel other people's pain when there's an openness, right? It's like
Mm.
there's nothing guarding. It's all if it's all one, right? It's all we're all this. There when in the openness happens, it's inevitable. It seems like, right? It's inevitable. I can watch things on that are sad about dogs and just start bawling.
Mm.
Yeah, it seems like we feel other people's pain because they are us, right? It's like on one level, they are us.
Yes. I think our connection, our only connection, is a common language. And of course, each of us has a unique dictionary. Although other animals relate to another animal's pain, so that kind of shoots that theory out. We build these scaffoldings to imagine what reality is, and the scaffoldings tumble down after a while. We listen to other people with their scaffoldings and how they relate to our scaffoldings, and if they do, we like them. I think we can see our own scaffoldings falling down into a vast, empty unknowableness. Nobody knows more about you. 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 Nobody Nobody knows more about the human condition than you do right now. No one ever has or ever will. Got a lot of ideas, but they're just ideas about something that doesn't actually exist. Bodies exist, I believe. Sense of selves are mental fabrications. What can you know about something that doesn't exist?
It can appear like you do, right?
Mm, it certainly appears like
And that's,
that.
I mean, all these conversations that we're having, they're they're really dream talk, you know,
Mm,
and that's right. It's like, but we still the humanness, allowing the humanness, you know. That's that's what um yeah, so I mean even saying their bodies or a world is still it's still unverified, you know.
yeah, yeah, unverified.
It's part of your dream.
Um, even that is the scaffolding.
Yeah. Well, every word. So when we use words, they're dualistic in nature. There's
Mm.
no way around it. So I could say something here and then say something on a forum that's completely opposite, but to me, you know what I mean? I'm constantly contradicting myself in that sense.
May I chime in?
Sure.
There's an ancient proverb, the reality, or the dream is the reality, and the reality is the dream. And that's a metaphysical truth whispered by poets, sages, and seekers across cultures and time. And if we want to peel that open like a sacred fruit, dream equals imagination, fantasy, illusion. Reality equals solid, factual material. But the proverb dissolves that rigid boundary. What we call reality itself is what? It's a projection. It's a dream within a dream.
Yeah.
And what we call dream is often more real, more symbolic, more true than what we see with our waking eyes. Do you want to go into it really deeply? Because I don't want to interject too much right now, but I love you and I just felt intensity come through me. So I thought I would just share that tidbit.
Okay.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
I'm an artist and I'm intense, so I'll come through.
The muse struck.
Hmm.
You'll have to get our own hand to put up, Mark.
Sorry.
No worries. Oh, is there anything else that someone would like to say?
I want to say to what Mushe said about words. Um, when this first happened to me, when I first kind of experienced like a shift or something, um, I used to feel like words, you know, like I used to say words to people, and I could feel the effect that words were having on them. It was unreal. It's like you say unforgiveness, and it had a certain effect on the body of the person. Or you say forgiveness, and gradually it was like I could like use the right words and sort of like help someone. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's all like um, Moshe's wife said it, or girlfriend, I don't know, said it's
My wife.
we don't know, like yeah. But yeah, then I could do all those things. Like I could actually use certain words and see how it helped people. And how when I use the opposite word, it seemingly like didn't, you know. And yeah, I don't know, but that's another story that I am saying. Maybe I
Mm.
don't know. You know, that's the thing. We don't know these things. We don't know for sure. that if we can actually affect what is out there, that's it. Yeah, and are we just attempting to fix what should not be fixed? Sometimes I think about that too, you know. I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, we just go on with life and live it. And somehow, like you said, the fun is in being with each other rather than proving a point or anything. And I want to be that, you know, this unconditional love. That's what I want to be like when you go out there and you're looking at someone and just relating to them on that level, like, you know, being that unconditional love. Like when I'm looking, I cannot, like, I want the judgment to fall away. That's so bad. Not bad. That is like also a value judgment, right? But like sometimes we look at others. I remember this one person was telling me, like, when my mother-in-law disturbed me and I looked at her and I was like so irritated, you know. And I was talking to him on the Zoom and then that irritation came through, like, and uh, and then he corrected me and he said, "What is so valuable? Like, why can't you give her that time? It doesn't matter, you know." And it changed the whole perspective now. And now I started to see like how my actions, what effects they were having on others, like, you know. And so it's always that it's like people are holding up this mirror, like, and somehow where we fall short. I know I'm not perfect, like, but I mean, who is? And uh, and then you fall in love with yourself, and in that love of yourself, suddenly the whole world is like lovely and loving. It's so beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, so many people have brought me to this, and that is so awesome. And yeah, I'm learning still. And I want to be that kind of love. And if I'm falling short, I don't mind. Like people tell me, "Oh, this is it." Like, you know. Thanks.
No, thank you. I think we're out of time, are we not, Claire?
Yeah, we set it for 90 minutes and it's now been 91.
Oh no.
We're out of time,
Disaster.
everyone.
We failed.
Terrible boundaries.
Oh, you're too
Out
right.
of time,
Hey.
good expression.
Oh, this has been lovely.
Yeah.
I'll get the ball rolling. Thank you very much. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Love you, Ben.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Love you
everyone.
guys.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Bye-bye.